No one else cares about your success except you and maybe your mom. You can make a ton of money. Like, people probably dream of that kind of money. You can make anywhere between 3 to 7, 8 lakh rupees per reel.
There was a post with 10,000 likes comparing me with a porn star.
Virat Kohli or Dhoni perspective, right? Everyone name drops them to get views. And you get views also when you take their name. They're not sitting around and thinking, मेरे को इसके ऊपर credit दे. I want to hurt this audience. I feel like Sandeep Reddy Vanga is in that phase of life. It's like, these people, like this segment of audience I want to hate on.
There was a point at which I just cried one day.
So I don't think we're too far away from having the first YouTuber politician very soon.
I want this video to be a guide. अगर आपको content creator बनना है 2024 में, तो this is the one video that you need to watch. I was thinking who to call on the show to talk about this, and the person on top of my list was Viraj Sheth of Monkey. Hi Viraj, how are you?
Thank you, Ishan. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Amazing. So let's get started with this whole video, right? आपने Monkey पिछले 6 साल से आप रन कर रहे हो. How many creators have you managed so far?
I mean, currently we have 120 plus exclusive creators, but over a period of time, I mean, I'm sure like 200 odd creators we would have worked with, representing exclusively, but we would have worked with like thousands and lakhs of creators over a period of these 6 years in terms of giving them work.
Very interesting. So my first question for anyone who's watching, right, would be, why should someone create content in 2024? Or like, what is the right reason to create content according to you? आपने बहुत सारे creators को देखा है, but what reason has helped them sustain the longest in the creator industry or business?
I think it's just like, it's two things. One is passion for creating content and video. If you feel like you're someone who is interesting, is chirpy, wants to talk to a lot of people. Not just that, even introverts I've seen really ace the game of video content because their reasons have been to gain leverage, to build distribution, things like these that we're now hearing being thrown around a lot. But funda simple hai ki if you want to have opportunity at scale, now creating content, creating videos has become mandatory. It's not even a choice anymore. It's like if you have to do this. If you do this, you're going to open at least 10 more doors than you would otherwise. So these are like two reasons that one should build or create videos for. One is if you genuinely love making videos, so for the love of content creation, for the love of cinema, for the love of video making, or for the love of building distribution and leverage.
Okay. Have you noticed that the best creators out there are introverts? Is that the case?
I mean, some of the top creators I know are introverts. Like Carrie Minati is a huge introvert. I mean, you'd think otherwise, right? Because he's so lively on his videos. Correct. So, but like during parties or, otherwise, he's also claimed this, that he likes to be by himself. He's a reserved person. So many people, I think now, especially when you're making content that often, right? तो एक exhaustion हो जाती है. So you just move inwards after that. कि यार बस हुआ, अब मुझसे और बात नहीं हो पाएगी, मुझसे और interaction नहीं हो पाएगा. So I want to now be by myself, be in my little cocoon, so that I don't have to listen to the whole world. Because once you get popular also, there's 10 people telling you 10 things and you want to cut down on the noise. Especially now with podcasts also, for example, अगर आप बहुत regularly podcast churn out कर रहे हो, आफ्टर अ पॉइंट आप में एनर्जी ही नहीं बचेगी कोई दूसरा इंटरेक्शन करने की. सो यूड वांट टू सराउंड योरसेल्फ ओनली विद पीपल दैट यू जेन्युइनली लव और फील लाइक हैव योर बेस्ट इंटरेस्ट. और आफ्टर अ पॉइंट हेट भी बढ़ जाता है इंटरनेट पे. इफ़ यू आर समवन हु इज़ पॉपुलर ऑन द इंटरनेट, किसी ना किसी को तो टिप्पणी या ओपिनियन होगा ही आपके कंटेंट के ऊपर. एंड दैट्स नॉर्मल, दैट्स समथिंग यू हैव टू एक्सेप्ट. इट्स पार्ट ऑफ योर कंटेंट क्रिएशन जर्नी. सो for that reason also you want to live offline, but you want to upload online. That's the motive you want to live with, that as soon as you upload, cool, don't spend too much time dissecting each and every comment, dissecting each and every quote retweet. Just upload it, reply to people for engagement on your YouTube comments, and then just switch off and think of your next content piece, or think of your research, or whatever it is that you want to do next. Like, plan your next move. Don't spend so much time on the internet consuming things, because it will consume you otherwise.
Analysis paralysis nahi karna chahiye.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I want people to walk away with a content framework when they are getting started, right? So, pehla question that everyone thinks about is what content to create, right? It's a very vague question. I know that. But what do you think should someone approach this question with? Like, kaise sochna chahiye about what content to create?
The easy answer to this is, if you put a Venn diagram here, the content that you like creating or are passionate about, the topics that you feel like you can have a hold on, and the gap in the market, the Venn diagram of that is what you should be creating. That's where the opportunity is. If you are going to tell me that, hey, I love talking about mutual funds and stocks, and I'm going to do a basic series on that, you can do that. But the thing is that an Ankur Warikoo or Rachna Ranade, everyone has already done that on YouTube. So, like, what are you bringing new to the table? And these are all recent videos, right? These are all within like a 2-3 year framework. So they're still relevant to today's time. If they would have made this like 10 years ago and you were like, hey, I'm going to redo this concept as per today's time, it would probably still make sense. But there's little you can add more to what they've already covered in their exhaustive videos. And I'm not saying that like Ankur Warikoo and Rachna Ranade are the Bible for, all things finance. But there are plenty and more creators who've done all of these things. So that gap has been covered for like the Indian market in terms of knowledge consumption, that ये हो चुका है already. तो इसका अगर मैं YouTube सर्च करूँगा तो मुझे 50 वीडियोस ऑलरेडी मिलने वाली है. वो 50 वीडियोस में क्या आपकी वीडियो फर्स्ट रैंक होगी क्या? There is a good likelihood that it won't, because the search terms of these people are already ranking higher than you if you're a new creator. Their videos already have far more views if you're a new creator. This is in no way to demotivate a creator and say कि तुम मत बनाओ, तुम बना सकते हो, but the likelihood of it getting picked up as much is probably lesser.
Do you think that the tech YouTube is a great example of this, because itne sare creators हैं in tech in India, but then Tech Burner came into the picture and he had a different delivery of the video, right? He made it funny, he had his humor, he had his way of talking. And that helped him win.
I agree. If you have a different kind of, nuance to what you're building, you have a different kind of style, format, editing, humor. These are all differentiators that you can have. Some sort of a moat you can have in your content journey, basically. So if you can do that, do it. But again, if you're going to, like, that difference has to be significant. I feel like what really worked for Shlok here was that he was bringing the fun in a serious content piece. Same with Sharan, right? He was bringing in humor, skits into something that was already boring. And that's why the widespread consumption for something like that.
Yeah. I want to ask this question that बहुत सारे क्रिएटर हैं जो बहुत टाइम से दिख रहे हैं हमको यूट्यूब पे, राइट? फॉर एग्जाम्पल तन्मय भट्ट, देन रणवीर इज हियर, एंड देव ऑल रीइन्वेंटेड देमसेल्व्स. रणवीर वाज मेकिंग पहले फिटनेस वीडियोस, नाउ ही इज डूइंग स्पिरिचुअल कंटेंट एंड नाउ पॉडकास्ट एज वेल. हाउ डज वन थिंक अबाउट दिस? लाइक, क्या लाइफ स्पैन होती है क्रिएटर की, नहीं होती है? रीइन्वेंट कैसे करते हैं खुद को? एंड is this really a career?
I think it just comes with experience. They've both, for example, been on the internet for so long. They know how to do what and when. And the thing is, they also constantly look at their comment section in order to analyze things from purely a data standpoint, not from an overthinking standpoint कि इसने मुझे क्यों गाली दी, इसने मुझे क्यों ऐसा बोला. They're just trying to take like feedback from the audience in terms of what do they like, what is being consumed, and what can I build more on. Because that is the need gap that you need to always be fulfilling at all times. Until a point when people like you so much for your personality that whatever it is that you upload, it will work. That's something I saw with Tanmay, for example. I saw how he records his vlog up close and personal. In the last vlog, I was part of it when I was traveling with him. And I realized that he's just doing personality driven content. You put anyone in front of him, right? He could either prank them, he could do some bakchodi with them, he could create content out of them. And that's what people like watching. That video has some 800k plus views, might have hit 1 million plus. It has 1,000 plus comments. Because people just want to watch Tanmay doing Tanmay things on the internet. And I think he also hadn't uploaded a vlog in the longest time. So people were really happy that, hey, vlogs are back. So he's earned that audience on the internet after like what 10-15 years of slogging. It does not come easy. Now when I look at it, I'll feel like अरे यार इसमें तो effort ही नहीं डाला था इसने. But that's not how one should look at, right? People have this notion कि अबे यार ये क्या, ये तो हंसते रहता है बस और पैसा कमाता है. It's not that, dude. I mean, he's built that audience over a period of time. You could do that today as a newbie and it will not work. He's earned his audience by being funny consistently, by, you know, being smart consistently, by making people entertained and also educate them through various, you know, IPs of his or, you know, content pieces of his. So he's earned that audience. In terms of reinvention, I just feel like you need to be long enough in the game to know when to reinvent. For Ranveer, he actually started with a food channel, not even fitness channel. He started with food and cooking, then he moved to fitness, then he moved to fashion, then he moved to grooming, then he moved to motivation, then he moved to entrepreneurship, then he moved to spirituality, then he did podcasts.
Right.
So that's some like 7-8 reinventions in a career that spanned like 7-8 years, which effectively means that he's on an average reinvented his genre every year, while still keeping the core focus of it being that, hey, I'm going to help you become a better version of yourself by whatever it is that I do. And the thing is, he's lived those journeys. In 2016 or so, when he was so big on cooking food, that's what he did. He made content out of it. Then he had a whole journey where he wanted to share his fitness, conversations and mantras.
Ranveer can do an eras tour of himself, मेरे को लगता है.
Yeah.
There's a fashion bhaiya era, there's a fitness bhaiya era.
Correct, that's true. And he's also like done experiments, right?
Yeah.
Like while he was doing fitness, he realized कि यार इंडिया में शायद लोगों को इस point पे keto और IF diet के beyond जानना नहीं है कुछ. If you look at any search terms on fitness at that point, it was always how to lose weight in 7 days, how to lose weight in 10 days and all. So it was very surface level information that was going to be consumed at mass. And the thing is, these people have always thought at scale, right? In terms of, okay, we will of course capture a premium audience, a niche audience, but we also want to get really, really popular to have any kind of an impact. So if you look at it from that lens, you have to keep doing experiments. So then we experimented by doing a fashion video randomly for like college teens and for men. The thing is, at that point, no one was doing fashion videos focused on men heavily, or even for college students. It's simple things like, you know, don't wear two patterns together. Your pants and your shirt cannot have patterns. They will look awkward. Like if you have one pattern t-shirt, then ensure you wear like a solid pant. What kind of bags to get, what kind of shoes to have in your wardrobe. That, okay, you know, have one pair of white sneakers. At least,
right.
You know, things like that. These are all basics, and do it in a way which was affordable. कि यार मिंत्रा में 1000 रुपए में कौन से जूते मिल रहे हैं तुम्हें, for example, things like that. So that picked up a lot with his audience, and we did a basic analysis. Their audience 18 to 24 में highest थी. तो यार ये college going audience है, ये बॉम्बे दिल्ली बैंगलोर की audience है, ठीक है, तो उनको और क्या चाहिए लाइफ में. So think of it from a lens that, okay, most of these kids are not getting this information from their dads because of whatever reasons. It's not being passed on generation to generation, and also quite possibly because our dads had a horrible fashion sense most of the times. But whatever, man, it depends, like case to case, right? So, you know, we did a video on shaving.
Right.
It's like basic, right?
मैंने भी उसे देख के सीखा था.
Correct. कितनी basic है कि यार, but उसमें 3-4 technicalities है जो शायद जिसने 10 बार shave किया उसको पता होगी. And we also had Gillette as a brand sponsor in that, so it fit in beautifully there. We did videos on skincare, this, that. So my point is, then once we realized कि अच्छा fashion में भी अब हो गया, basic fashion हो गया, उससे एक लेवल आगे हो गया, उसके बियॉन्ड लोगों को फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. स्पेशली इंडियन मैन, they don't care about dressing like for every occasion. Like if you still see in weddings, you'll see like, you know, uncles wearing like sport shoes over kurtas, for example.
Yeah.
Because ठीक है यार, कभी ऐसा fashion को importance नहीं दिया है. वो तो अब जाके Gen Z सोच रही है, हाँ, कि ओल्ड मनी स्टाइल में ड्रेसिंग करेंगे हम, तो बेज कलर के कपड़े पहनेंगे, कि हम
neutral colors,
like whatever, or I'll buy like fancy sneakers. It's crazy that, you know, back when I was in my teens, like which is about 10 odd years ago, buying a shoe worth 20K would just be unimaginable.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean to force fit my middle class upbringing here. I'm very middle class, and I grew up in a not so well-to-do household. Yes, I had solid education, but like whatever, we went through a crisis. I mean, dad lost all the money in 2008 recession and all. So also because of a factor of that, it became like we need to just save money at all times. ठीक है यार, चप्पल खरीद लिए और एक पेयर ऑफ शूज है, उसमें काम चला लो. सो फैशन टेक्स अ बैक सीट व्हेन यू आर नॉट डूइंग वेल इन लाइफ, बिकॉज देन इट बिकम्स जस्ट एसेंशियल्स, नॉट द ब्रांड बट लाइक एसेंशियल्स एज इन बस नीड के लिए तुम पहनते हो कपड़े.
बस मिल गया जूता वाइट
हाँ
वाला,
कि यार 3-4 वाइट ब्लैक टी शर्ट ले लो, एक पेयर ऑफ जीन्स और बस एक चप्पल लेके चलते बनो और लाइफ में कुछ बनो आगे. Like that's the goal. So things like that. So we realized, okay, cool, this is going to work only till a point of time. Then we realized, okay, people want motivation. That's what's working. So did like a lot of cinematic content, shot a lot of cool B-rolls with motivation content. So on and so forth. Then it was like, यार अब long form content infotainment में die out हो रहा है. So how do we make the process of creating regular long form content simpler? Because then at that point short form was the thing. TikTok picked up, Reels was introduced, all these Indian short video platforms came in. So it's like now long form is going to suffer. It's going to be extremely difficult to make long form, because back when we started 2017 2018, YouTube was the only platform for video. Instagram also, people were still looking at it as a photo first platform. So it was crazy that there was no other platform besides YouTube doing video content. So everyone's approach was very focused. If you see all of these, you know, first or second generation creators in India, first generation I usually call AIB, TVF is first generation. Second generation will be, Ranveer, Bhuvan, Prajakta, Ashish, Carrie, all of these folks. They were all focused on कि हाँ हमें तो long form content ही बनाना है. You must be third or fourth generation, right? Roughly, you started when in 2020. हाँ, so that I call that post-COVID generation, which has just grown up on short form content. उनको थोड़ा टाइम लगा रियलाइज होने में कि यार एक्चुअली मुझे लॉयल ऑडियंस बिल्ड करनी है, तो मुझे यूट्यूब से ही वो मिलेगी. कि मुझे भले ही मिलियंस ऑफ व्यूज आ जाए, मैं बेटर एंगेजमेंट कर रहा हूँ इंस्टाग्राम पे, द मीट ऑफ द ऑडियंस, द लॉयल्टी इज स्टिल ऑन यूट्यूब. एंड आई मीन दिस हैज बीन कवर्ड इन प्लेंटी वीडियोज नाउ. आप निखिल कामत वाला पॉडकास्ट देख लो कंटेंट क्रिएशन पे वगैरह वगैरह. These are all points that have been spoken by creators themselves. So the focus then was, okay, how do we make content easy to consume and easy to make? So podcasts just happened to come about. Like the Ranveer show was earlier called Monkey Chat, where Ranveer and I were both hosts and we were going to get a guest. So we did want to test our episodes, and I realized, dude, this is becoming too awkward. Because it's like 3 people trying to talk and it was not making sense. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to remove myself from this equation because I don't want to be doing this anyway. Like I want to be focused on the business, and if I get into this, I will probably lose focus on doing the business end of things. And I was like, why? You don't need to call this Monkey Chat. Why don't you just name this by yourself? That will be more memorable because you have a stronger personal brand. Beer Biceps or Ranveer is a far stronger personal brand than Monkey will probably ever be. So Monkey is an organization. So he's like, okay, you know what? Let's take a shot with that, and that's how this whole episode, transpired. Then he was at it, dude. Like, I didn't think it would work, honestly, because I was a little skeptical about the fact that यार 40-50 minute की conversations कौन सुनने वाला है. But Ranveer, I mean, he is always been a risk taker in life like that. So he's like, ठीक है यार, fuck it. Like worst case, we'll shelve it. How does it matter? We'll do this. And even before Monkey Chat actually started, he was doing these biography type of series with creators, where he would go to their houses and he would shoot really cinematic content with them. कैरी के साथ किया है, कोमल पांडे के साथ किया है, आशना श्रॉफ के साथ किया है, etc etc. So that really picked up well because at that point the whole content creation genre was like a unicorn, dude. It was like a mythical creature. कि पता ही नहीं है कि क्या होता है यहाँ पे, कि लोग एक्चुअली पैसा बना रहे हैं यूट्यूब से वीडियो बना के. क्या बात कर रहे हो? So that series was more about uncovering that, and that hadn't really been picked up on the internet. So that really worked. And through that, it was a follow on to that, you know what, hey, why don't we start a podcast also? This could probably be easier instead of going to people's places because production expensive ho jata hai. Is there a way where we could call people to like our studio, for example? So that was a slow process. And then, you know, one of the first guests we got then luckily happened to be Priyanka Chopra. And that just picked up. Then there was no looking back. We also had, you know, the honor to get Arnold Schwarzenegger on the podcast, which was insane. Matlab, people were just like, क्या कुछ भी क्या मतलब आर्नल्ड को कैसे लेके आ गया यार
कैसे लेके आए बट
So we were doing a promotion for his movie Terminator. And I was in touch with the folks at Disney. So, I mean, the thought was that they reached out and they're like, hey, why don't we do something? And we're like, correct. I mean, if you want to promote in India, who better than a fitness YouTuber to work with? That time the podcast had not picked up that much. And we're like, okay, yeah, cool. We'll fly to South Korea and we'll get this piece from Arnold. It's a very short conversation, like 10-15 minute conversation, I think. But it worked, man. Like it worked. Today to say that we've got folks like these on the show is in a way helps get more guests on the show. It's a trickle down effect always, right? To get a big name, you need to pitch them that you got an already big name on the show. Then they'll be like, okay, cool. ठीक है, फिर तो मुझे आना पड़ेगा. That's my answer to anyone who asks me how to bring like guests on the show also. It's just that you figure your first big guest, there will be some incentive for them that you have to give. If it's either that they need to speak to a specific audience and you have that audience. If it's that you tell them that you just need half an hour of their time, it won't take long. And at that moment, they happen to be free. And they're like, theek hai, cool. Usually, if you go through their management on this, you will always get a no. So if you can figure a way to speak to them directly and make them show value in this,
right,
they'll probably agree. And then you have to just name drop every time to other guests. That, hey, I've got this guest, I've got this guest, I've got this guest. Would you be interested?
That's actually how I wrote my book as well, Unlocking Unicorn Secrets.
Correct.
So we got 5 unicorn founders. Now we want more unicorn founders.
Correct. That's just applied to anything in life, dude. Like that's what sales is, right? And that's how you build credibility. So that's how it worked. And then whatever, the podcast started, blew up. We honestly, in our wildest dreams, did not think it would get to this stage where it's become very much part of the mainstream culture, pop culture. You do
Meme
anything, headlines, memes, motivational content. And the thing is, one thing we've always focused on is not worry about people, taking our content and getting millions of views themselves. It's okay. Like a lot of creators get insecure about the fact, यार ये मेरे वीडियो पे क्यों नहीं आ रहे views, ओरिजिनल वीडियो पे views क्यों नहीं आ रहे? It doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah.
कितना कमा लोगे वो एडिशनल रेवेन्यू से यार, थोड़ा बहुत कमा लोगे. बट अगर आपकी वीडियो सर्कुलेट हो रही है बाय 100 पेजेस, इंस्टेड ऑफ पुटिंग देम डाउन और पुटिंग अ स्ट्राइक ऑन देम और ऑलवेज वरिंग अबाउट कि यार इसने मुझे कैप्शन में क्रेडिट नहीं दिया, just focus on the fact that your face is being put out there. And you can create a lot more wealth with that kind of face value as opposed to cribbing and crying about the fact यार इसको मैं स्ट्राइक मारूंगा, इसको मैं ये बोलूंगा, वो बोलूंगा, उसने कैसे मेरी वीडियो उठा ली, तो मेरा कॉपीराइट है. All of that's think at the larger picture. People want to take your content because it works. So you already have the attention drawn towards you.
Perspective change karo.
Correct. Just focus then on creating that much more content that will make these people pick up these videos and reels and short form content and put it out there. Like just think of it from like a Virat Kohli or Dhoni perspective, right? Everyone name drops them to get views. And you get views also when you take their name. They're not sitting around and thinking कि अबे साले मेरे को इसके ऊपर क्रेडिट दे, ये तो मेरी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस से क्लिप ली तूने, मुझे क्रेडिट दे.
Right.
They don't care about that stuff. They know that they're at that scale now where everyone knows them. That should be the goal then if you're trying to create content at scale, if you're trying to build a personal brand at scale. That should be the goal.
आपने भी बात करी that what Tanmay did you can do and आपको फिर भी growth नहीं मिलेगी, right? तो what is the right way to copy others? Because when I started, I was so engrossed in so many creators. सबकी videos देखता था and I picked some things from every creator,
right,
and I built my own style,
right?
So what is the right way to copy, and is that even important?
Yeah, I mean, see, every form of content typically now is a rendition of something that's already done, right? So if you think of podcasts, like India में हम कर रहे podcast, but of course that format was already existing. So you could say maybe Joe Rogan popularized it, but even before Joe Rogan, the whole, like you could say that, the things that Simi Garewal or, a lot of these Jeena Isi Ka Naam Hai type shows used to exist back in the 2000s, where they would call celebrities and, they would call popular people and talk about their lives. It's the same thing. It's an interview style format, which we now call podcast because it's cooler to call that. I just feel like you need to first define your own style. Like, तुम्हारी पर्सनालिटी में क्या ऐसा है जो लोगों को पसंद आता है. इट कुड बी समथिंग यू कैन गेज बाय योर कॉन्वर्सेशंस विद योर फ्रेंड्स. आर यू द फनी गाय? आर यू द स्टोरी टेलर? आर यू द ड्रामेटिक पर्सन? आर यू द फैशन पर्सन इन योर ग्रुप? Are you the gym freak in your group? Like, what are your core skill sets that you pick up? Are you someone who knows all the jugaad while traveling? Are you someone who knows where to get the cheapest flights from? Things like that. So if you know all of these like kind of hacks or your traits, you can easily define what genre of content you would want to get into. See, the content creation is a very long journey. So you need to make it sustainable for yourself. If you are going to think of it from a lens कि मैं ना ये कंटेंट बना लेता हूँ अभी, फॉर एग्जांपल रॉ देसी कंटेंट पॉपुलर चल रहा है, तो मैं इसमें कुछ कर लेता हूँ. बट तुम हो साउथ बॉम्बे से, तुमने कभी ये रॉ देसी लाइफ जी नहीं है भैया, तो सस्टेनेबल नहीं हो पाएगा ना. तुम कुछ भी बोल दोगे, लोग परख लेंगे वो चीज़ को. सो इट वोंट वर्क. सो यू नीड टू फिगर हाउ टू मेक इट easy and sustainable for you and long standing for you if you want to be in this game for that long. So just identify what comes naturally to you, and then you can do minor tweaks. Like, for example, knowing that on YouTube now adding a 10-15 second hook initially in a long format podcast will work because you want to grab the attention of the audience. So these are all technical hacks that you can get in terms of how to retain your audience better, how to build better average view duration. How can you do that? अब मिस्टर बीस्ट की वीडियोस देख देख के सबको पता है कि यार जो मेन हुक वीडियो का होना चाहिए वो लास्ट में रखो, या बीच बीच में वो डोपामीन हिट्स देते रहो ताकि लोग कंसिस्टेंटली वीडियो देखे, ताकि तुम्हारा एवरेज व्यू ड्यूरेशन बढ़े, ताकि तुम्हारा यूट्यूब रेवेन्यू बढ़े. So those are all technical things that, if you are curious enough anyway, and if you want to keep improving your game anyway, you will pick up along the way by watching a lot of these podcasts and explainer videos and all that on what top YouTubers do to improve their retention. Then it's always like, okay, how do we build a better thumbnail? You do experimentation on thumbnails. There's a dime a dozen videos and content pieces on that now. So copy करना है, पहले कुछ तो अपना ओरिजिनल स्टाइल रखो या जॉनर रखो, उसके बाद टेक्निकल चीज़ें कॉपी करो.
तो आपने अभी बहुत सारे क्रिएटर्स के नाम लिए, राइट? इंस्टाग्राम पे और यूट्यूब पे बहुत सारे लोगों को व्यूज़ मिल रहे हैं, बहुत, राइट? मिलियंस में व्यूज़ मिल रहे हैं, बट उन्हें कोई नाम नहीं जानता. येट पीपल नो अबाउट शरण, पीपल नो अबाउट निहारिका. सो व्हाट डिड दे डू राइट दैट गॉट देम दिस ब्रांड, एंड ये जो नाम याद रह जाता है, या फिर उनका जो ब्रांडिंग है वो याद रह जाती है, वो क्या कैसे होता है?
आई थिंक इट्स मल्टीपल थिंग्स. सी, यू विल सी अ लॉट ऑफ रील्स गेट अ लॉट ऑफ views right now, but at the end of it you don't know who the owner of that page is or what's the name of that page. कि memes बहुत चल रहे हैं, बहुत लोग कहीं से क्लिप लेके फिर उसमें रिएक्ट कर देंगे, बहुत लोग अपना फेस नहीं डालेंगे वीडियोस में, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. कभी एक आध बार में कोई बहुत ही वायरल वीडियो कोई अकाउंट से आ जाएगी, बट बाकी अकाउंट पे वो कोई वीडियोस कोई चल नहीं रही है. So what a lot of these creators that you named have done right in terms of building their brand is they have consistently popular videos. They are consistent with their uploads. They have done various things in order to build their brand, which means they've either built a cross-platform audience, which means that they're not just on one platform, or they have done things that take them outside of Instagram, which means they have worked with either celebrities in cinema, they worked with cricketers, they worked with, authors or entrepreneurs or people from other genres, where their brand recall or name recall is being picked up because they're doing credible work. The thing is about credibility, as soon as you share the same frame consistently with people that are credible while doing your own credible work is when you actually build credibility. Celebrity के साथ फोटो तो कोई भी खींच सकता है यार, बट तुम क्या काम कर रहे हो, क्या वो काम की वैल्यू है, क्या वो काम को पॉपुलैरिटी मिल रही है, that defines building credibility and brand over a sustained period of time. So if you see, a lot of people will have selfies with XYZ people, photos with XYZ people, but people that are building something of value will refrain from doing things like that because they would want to milk the opportunity with that person instead of just taking a selfie. Right. So for example, if I'm a content creator that is making content in infotainment, my goal will not be to take a selfie with Nikhil Kamath. Bro, पूरे गाँव भरने ले लिया है. My goal would actually be to see if there is a possibility to build something credible with him. Even if that means like a 1 hour long podcast. While again, most people have done even that, the thing is that 1 hour long podcast will have far more value than a selfie. Because it will show that a very important person has given you their 1 hour of their life, as opposed to taking a 5-second selfie, which they would give to any other fan also. So goal is to not be looked at as a fan. The goal is to be looked at as an equal. How can you do something that can add value to a person who's already popular, already has everything, already has all the money? Like, how can you add value to their life? That's how you need to look at. So a lot of, I think people, creators go wrong there, that they'll come off too much as a fan to someone of value, and that person will then not value you.
Dynamic change हो जाता है वो. Correct. Just like photo खींच लेते हैं जल्दी से.
Immediately dynamic change हो जाता है. So when you share the same room often with those people, they'll know, okay, you are someone noteworthy. You're someone who probably knows someone who's as important at least. So they'll trust you more. If you're just going to rush and take out your phone and take the selfie at the first moment, know that you will be treated like that in the future also.
तो हमने अभी तक बात करी about what content to create, how to reinvent.
Yeah.
We just talked about how to build a brand. But next question I want to talk about is about different platforms, right? तो कई सारे platform हैं. Should someone go with all the guns blazing with all the platforms, or should they pick one at a time? And what should they think कि कौन सा platform मेरे लिए सही है? Or is that even a good question to ask?
It's always a good question to ask, but I think a single answer to this is start with short form content. Build confidence, get views, focus on the fact that this is what you want to do full time by bringing in some revenue into your account, and then build long form content, because building long form content is supremely difficult in this time and age. I do strongly feel that long form content will bounce back now in the next year, because there is just oversaturation of short form content. People want substance now. People want to consume longer format things where they can either entertain themselves for a longer period of time or educate themselves in depth. If you're doing this full time anyway, then I feel like you should have a YouTube channel. If you're doing a side hustle, if you're juggling between two things, then start with short form and then figure out what kind of long form you want to do. Because again, if you're going to start just another podcast, like there are hundreds in the market, then it becomes a need problem. That why do I have to listen to your podcast specifically?
Right.
If the format is the same, if the guests are the same, then you have to differentiate yourself truly. And then you have to think that how can making content in the long run be sustainable for me? Because otherwise you will stop in 2 months, 6 months, a year at best. And then it's like, what do you go back to now? You've quit your job. You've decided to do content full time. Don't half-ass it then.
Right. आपने अभी 2 चीजें बोली कि you should start with short form content and then see if you can make some revenue from that. Let's first talk about short form, right? तो Instagram पे क्या चलता है? What works on Instagram? I recently saw Ranveer की video. It was like, if you hate men, comma, and then he made that montage type video with some text on that. Got like millions of views. But what should someone think of when they're thinking of making a reel? What should it be? Should it be to make someone laugh? Should it be to educate them? Or what percentage of that should it be?
It should just be to see that, I mean, I think audiences are too smart today. If as an audience, you think this reel holds your attention, that's a reel you should make. It's just simple. Like anyone who's a creator is also a consumer. If as a consumer you feel that this is a reel that I would definitely stop back and watch and not, swipe up immediately, then that's the kind of reel that you should make. You will only get that confidence and understanding also after you create a bunch of reels. So the point is not to have analysis paralysis, just move to creating content. Because short form content है ना, what are you losing? Nothing. You're not even popular, so the onus on you to create that perfect content piece does not exist. Just make that fucking content
Follow
piece.
trends, copy others, just do it.
Just start.
Right.
And then analyze that data to see what worked on your page. Now there could be outliers in this. कि यार तुमने कोई trending audio use कर ली और वो चल गया. That does not mean that is the content that will always work. But over a period of time, just focus on adding value in a distinct way so that you could build a personal brand out of it. If you end up becoming a meme page only, or if you end up becoming a page that just makes nice edits with no personal brand, you are as replaceable as anyone in the market. And brands will pay money for the lack of replaceability that you have.
Right.
That is when you get the big bucks. When a brand thinks of you and feels that नहीं यार इसने मना कर दिया ना तो हम इसको replace नहीं कर पाएंगे. That's when you can command the kind of money that you want in the
ये
market.
कैसे करते हैं? You've done it again and again, I think.
इसके लिए अलग podcast बनाना पड़ेगा. But I mean, like we discussed in the last segment, the short answer to this is that build recall value, build a personal brand strong enough when you've done so many things of credibility that replacing you becomes difficult. Where, okay, let me take Ranveer's example, low hanging fruit for me. Now when we say no to someone for coming on the podcast, the thought in their mind should be that अरे यार अगर मैं इसके चैनल पे नहीं जा रहा हूँ ना तो मैं वेट कर लूँगा क्योंकि इसका चैनल इंडिया में सबसे बड़ा है.
Right.
तो मुझे तो उसके ही पॉडकास्ट पे जाना है. Some people also have a thought otherwise, which is that it's okay, 5 और पॉडकास्ट है, मैं वो 5 पॉडकास्ट पे चले जाऊँगा. So it depends. But he's created that space for himself there that इंडिया में सबसे बड़ा पॉडकास्ट व्यूज़ और ब्रांड वैल्यू और रीच के हिसाब से हाँ यार रणवीर है, उसका नाम पहले आता है, हमें उसके पॉडकास्ट पे जाना है एज अ गेस्ट. So that's how you create that lack of replaceability. You could say the same for say Tanmay, for example, right? He's not just a comedian. He's a comedian who will get you views on YouTube. He's also super smart with his insights. He's also got a lot of access. He can bring in popular friends, etc., etc. So he has like 4 or 5 moats built around him. Not just one that he's funny. Funny तो उससे ज़्यादा 10 लोग और funny है. ठीक है. But including his humor, he's built 5 other things that will be very difficult to replace in another person.
Let's talk about Twitter. What works on Twitter? Tanmay ने बनाया था एक छोटा सा clip था from the Nikhil Kamath podcast. It was like either you be witty, pretty or outrageous. If you want to win on Twitter, what has been your perspective about it?
I think you have cracked the Twitter game, bro. Like if I've
stopped. I've given up. I'm retired from Twitter now.
No, I think and something I reference a lot that see the thing is that you are on your own journey, okay? So sometimes what you post will not be relatable to many people, and the vibe on Twitter generally is that they don't want it to seem like LinkedIn. But there will also still be people that will resonate with your content, people that are in the zone that want to be motivated, that want to hustle it out, that want to create something of themselves, etc., etc., etc. ठीक है. Now, for a huge chunk, it doesn't work, and I understand totally why it doesn't work. And I'm with them also that, yeah, it sounds too preachy. It sounds like he's trying to be like he's a try hard. ज्ञान दे रहा है, अबे तू तो 22 साल का है, तू मुझे क्या सिखाएगा, क्या करना है लाइफ में, etc., etc., etc. There is that kind of an audience anywhere and everywhere. That audience is also a bakchod audience that will enjoy and love comedians a lot more because that's the kind of content they like consuming.
Right.
The audience that caters to you, for example, will probably not enjoy, watching vlogs all day. Because for them, that trigger will be like, am I being productive enough with my day? So there are both sets of that audience. And again, like, if you look at Tanmay, he's captured like both audiences very subtly and smartly. And that's something I feel like Zakir also does very smartly. Where the overall mass sentiment is to not hustle it out, to not work every day, to not be an overachiever. Because most people are not.
Yeah.
They like to consume content. They like to have fun. They're doing tedious jobs. They just want to be entertained at the end of the day. So while they both might be overachievers themselves, they will never go out and rub it in your face like that. The moment you start doing that, that's when you start getting hate. कि चुप चूती है, like तूने क्या कर लिया है लाइफ में, पैसा ही तो कमा रहा है ना. For you, that might be a huge thing.
Right.
Because you've gotten out of a middle class family, etc., etc. You've moved yourself into a big city. No one else cares about your success except you and maybe your mom. Like literally no one else cares. So if you rub it in people's faces, people are actually, of course, going to have an outrageous reaction to you that shut the fuck up, like you don't know anything, wait till really life hits you, etc., etc. So they'll also want to bring you down in your own ways when you are in your, protected little bubble of self-improvement and self-growth and optimization and stoicism and all of that shit. So that's okay. Like, you can be in that bubble of yours. But the moment you choose to be a public personality, you need to be okay with the hate that comes with it. That's all. And ठीक है यार, सब लोग सीखते हैं, everyone learns and everyone moves on. So after a point, you almost get used to the hate. Some people actually even start liking the hate. They're like, fuck, like I want to hurt this audience. Like you see, I mean, that's what I feel like Sandeep Reddy Vanga is in that phase of life. He's like, fuck these people. Like this segment of audience I want to hate on. So I get that. I mean, whatever. Like it depends on what phase of life you are in, I guess.
उंगली करनी है थोड़ी.
बस उंगली करनी है क्योंकि मजा आता है bro. Like अब ऐसे स्टेज पे तुम हो कि यार तुमने कुछ बोल दिया ना तो लोग outrage करेंगे. And that's what I feel Narayan Murthy is doing now. Like, for example, he didn't stop with that one statement of 70 hours weekly, right? He then said that I go to office at 6:15 a.m. So people, of course, are like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Like, तू 3-4 लाख रुपए देता है एक साल का लोगों को, तू कैसे बोल सकता है and all that. People don't like that shit. Like, no one likes being told what to do.
So you're saying that people should be extremists if they want to, like, become that creator.
If you want attention, right, you have to do that. It's just that. If you want to capture an audience very fast, just say extremely contrarian things. I hate Friends. So actually, वो तो अब liking Friends has become contrarian now. But 2 साल पहले
like I hate
hating
Taylor
Friends.
Swift.
हाँ, like I hate Taylor Swift. Fuck this shit. Like what the hell. तो Taylor Swift के 20 फैन आके कमेंट करेंगे, गाली देंगे तुमको, तो एंगेजमेंट तो तुम्हारी बढ़ने वाली है. सिंपल सीन है. सो थिंग्स लाइक दैट. नाउ फॉर एग्जांपल आई पोस्टेड अ थिंग अबाउट, लाइक आई जस्ट सेड रैंडमली, कभी मुझे भी मन हो जाता है कि बकचोदी करनी है, आज बोर हो रहा हूँ. आई जस्ट सेड सनराइजर्स हैदराबाद इज अ मिड टीम. ठीक है, तो आ गए 15 हैदराबाद के फैंस की चुप चूती है, तू कौन सी टीम को सपोर्ट करता है. अब उनको नहीं पता मैं मुंबई इंडियंस को सपोर्ट करता हूँ, तो वो आर्ग्यूमेंट नहीं बैठ सकती है मेरे साथ. But then they're like they will also slander you. So it works. But yeah, you either drop truth bombs, you have contrarian opinions, you're extremely hateful.
Controversy करके grow करना सही होता है क्या?
Not really, actually. I mean, I've seen many YouTube channels that have just grown on dissing people, and many like podcasts trying to create beef, lafda, real होने के चक्कर में. And it doesn't work that way. Like if you are breeding controversy, That's the audience you are breeding. और अगर सांप पालोगे अपने घर में तो आके एक दिन डसेगा. It is a fact. So that's what happens with that kind of an audience, dude. Like they will never support you when it actually matters.
Yeah.
Then they will turn their backs on you. Then they'll be like, अबे तूने भी तो content hate करके ही बनाया है ना, तो तू क्यों आके ज्ञान दे रहा है? Whatever, things like that will happen. So creating content on the back of controversy only, if that's your only foundation, will never work.
Right.
But I just feel like saying controversial things once in a while will probably work because that's how people stay relevant, dude. You say something outrageous and suddenly you get your 2 minutes of fame.
Right. It was December 2022 when I was trending. My name was trending on Twitter. Every thread I used to make used to cross 2 million impressions, 3 million impressions.
Crazy.
There was a post with 10,000 likes comparing me with a porn star. There were memes made on me and I was just looking at it, I was like, kya kar rahe hain log ye?
But tell me, how did you take this? Because I mean, I have also been part of this fun making because I'm like, यार ये क्या कर रहा है ईशान यार, ये गलत है, मुझे पता है ये ट्रोल होने वाला है, because I've seen a lot of people take that journey and I'm like, dude, if you say these things, you are attracting a certain group of people to come and shit on you. Now, if you're doing it intentionally and if it doesn't hurt you, then it's great.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't matter, dude. But if you're someone that cannot take it, it is going to really hurt you mentally. And in that case, I have some advice for you. That was my thought when I like looked at your, tweets. वो तो IKEA वाला सबसे popular हो गया था ना? कौन सा था?
IKEA वाला था.
I bought XYZ things.
जब लोग मूवी देख रहे थे छिछोरे, तो मैं फ्लैपी बर्ड का कोड कर रहा था अपने हॉस्टल में बैठ के.
Correct. हाँ. So thing is कि tell me, I'm curious to know that like what was your thought behind doing that?
I was just laughing looking at all of them.
No, when you tweeted this, did you think कि यार तोड़ू ट्वीट है, मेरे को मेरे स्टोरी के बारे में बताना है लोगों को?
ये तो ट्वीट था ही नहीं.
तो क्या था?
This was a LinkedIn post. तो I took that LinkedIn post, मैं उसे कट करके वो
थ्रेड बना. But you repurposed it for Twitter.
मेरी फ्लाइट उड़ने वाली थी एक्चुअली, डिले हो गई थी, तो I was like क्या करूँ, तो बैठ के बोला कि चलो ट्वीट कर देते हैं. तो मैंने ट्वीट किया, फिर फ्लाइट आ गई 3 घंटे के लिए, I was in the flight. फिर जब मैं वापस आता हूँ, I look back, I look at all the tweets and threads. रात का टाइम था, ज़्यादा कुछ आया नहीं था. फिर अगले दिन it went crazy. तो and I was just interested to see how varied the audience thinking is on Twitter and on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Both posts got similar traction on both the platforms. Right? वो वाला भी 5-6 हज़ार likes आए, इस पे भी 4-5 हज़ार likes आए. वहाँ पे लोग तो मतलब प्रेज कर रहे हैं कि अरे आपने क्या ही बात कर दी, मजा ही आ गया आपको पढ़ करके. तो
LinkedIn पे.
हाँ, LinkedIn पर. Twitter पे लोग देख करके they are all like shitting on me. And I was just amazed by this behavior. I was just observing that.
How older were you at that point?
21 actually.
21.
Yeah.
So did you not feel like why are they hating on me? Like वो feel तो हुआ होगा bro. ऐसा कोई hate से कोई impervious नहीं है कि hate penetrate नहीं होता है और लगती नहीं है भाई. चुपती तो है बात कि अबे साले कैसे बोल दिया मेरे को यार.
दर्द तो होता है. नहीं, but what happened with me was when I first started making videos, right? I've had that phase of mine in 2020 itself. So all of my batchmates, they were completely roasting me in the WhatsApp group. से होता है ना एक कॉलेज का ग्रुप होता है मेन जो, तो उसमें सब लोग they just like क्या ज्ञान दे रहा है और क्या कर रहा है, like इंजीनियरिंग की डिग्री ले रखी है and कुछ भी टाइम पास कर रहा है वहाँ पे जाकर के सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म पर. तो it was that which got me ready, right? So I'm just like if you cannot spot anything good in what I make, I'm not going to listen to anything bad that you say.
Correct. Yeah, fair. Which is fair.
I'm just neutral in all the posts that I see. I don't get happy when I see the good comments, but I don't also get depressed when I see the negative comments. And that's just a state I've learned from Gary Vee. So unse seek karke, and that has been the biggest learning.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good. So I mean, you did get hurt a little bit.
At the starting, 2020, there was a point at which I just cried one day. Right? There was something happened. Everyone was shitting on me I was on LinkedIn basically. तो मैंने एक controversial post डाली थी LinkedIn पे which said that IITians get that AIR rank and they boast about it for years to come. as if they did not do in the last 3-4 years anything
correct.
worthwhile that
Correct.
would top it.
हाँ,
Right?
correct.
तो मैं ऐसे कुछ भी मैंने लिख दिया and it got like 2000 likes in 2020 when I had like 5000 followers. That was a huge thing for me. And everyone in my bits का जो WhatsApp group था, they were just talking about that कि ये क्यों कुछ भी बना रहा है and all that. So that was what prepared me for it, right? So everyone, even my friends were like, ये क्या कर रहा है, assignment कर चुपचाप से बैठ के and all that. So I just got aloof from everything and I was like, I don't care. I will not delete the post. They were like, delete the post, गलत लिख रहे हो and all that.
Right.
So and then I made a reel on that. तो एक दिन I found that कुछ viral audio थी which was like किसी दिन ये तमाशा हम भी देखेंगे करके कुछ ऑडियो थी, राइट? तो आई हैड स्क्रीनशॉट्स ऑफ दोज कमेंट्स पीपल रोट इन द व्हाट्सएप. तो मैंने वो एक दिन खोल के देखा था, लाइक इससे रील बन सकती है, तो मैंने उसे लिया, उसको उस पर डाला रील पे एंड आई मेड दैट रील एट द मिडल ऑफ द नाइट 3 बजे. समटाइम आई जस्ट हैव दैट इंस्पिरेशन, कुछ बनाना है मेरे को,
राइट?
तो आई जस्ट गेट अप इन द मॉर्निंग या फिर रात में ही एंड आई जस्ट टेक माई FCP खोल के आई जस्ट एडिट इट. मैंने बना दी, डाल दी, उस पर 3 मिलियन व्यू आ गए एंड आई एम जस्ट looking at all of that.
That's good. That's called being opportunistic. पर यही है कि हाँ, मतलब पहले गाली खा ली दोस्तों से, फिर कोई भी गाली दे क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार?
जब दोस्ती गाली दे रहा तो फिर किसी और की गाली से क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
Correct.
तो that's how I think about it.
ठीक है.
That was a masterclass in handling hate and negativity. Okay, let's go and talk about monetization finally, right? Which is what many people are interested in right now. Do you think that is the right mindset कि भाई ये तो पैसे कमाने क्रिएटर बन के?
मतलब वो माइंडसेट होना तो चाहिए यार. लोग बोलते कि पैसे कमाने का सोचो मत, सच बात है, स्टार्टिंग में मत सोचो, बट कभी तो सोचो, वरना यार कंटेंट बनाते रह जाओगे, पैसा आएगा नहीं, फिर क्या जॉब करनी पड़ेगी फिर से. अगर जॉब छोड़ के आए हो तो कुछ गेम प्लान लेके आओ ना यार. डोंट जस्ट लाइक come open-ended saying that hey, I am just going to make content for like X years without any kind of money, because you're going to run out of motivation. So you should have a money mindset in terms of planning, not in terms of intrinsic motivation that this is the only reason I'm doing content for. So that's the difference.
For context, जो लोग देख रहे हैं वीडियो, how much do creators make? If I ask you that question, how would you answer that?
Creators make a very variable sum of money. So if you are a creator that has been consistent in the game for a while, you are not very easily replaceable, you can make a fuck ton of money. Like, people probably dream of that kind of money. But very few people, like 0.001% of the whole ecosystem makes that kind of money. Like in any other field, right? If you are top of your game as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, whatever, you can make a lot of money. But then there's also too much baggage around the people that are not at the top. So that's what you have to really ask. Like, what can an average person really make? You can make a decent sum, probably make more money than an entry-level engineer would make in today's time. Entry-level engineers make what? Anywhere between 3, 4, 5 lakhs to maybe like 8-10 lakhs roughly per annum. If you are not from an IIT, this is if you are from like a local engineering college or etc. etc. That's roughly the salary. Like 8-10 lakhs is also much on the higher end. When I graduated in 2017 as an engineer, I did a job for like 3-4 months. My monthly salary was 25,000 rupees. So that's about 3-4 lakh rupees an annum, which is nothing, quite honestly. So this is the kind of money you make as an entry-level engineer. You can make more money if you play your game right.
Right.
You can pick up a few brand deals, etc., etc. But you need to think of making it sustainable. Boss, how am I going to do this over a period of 3-4 months or 3-4 years? Because why else am I getting into this? या तुम content creation में 6 महीने की game के लिए थोड़ी ना उतर रहे हो. तुम उतर रहे हो तो तुम्हें at least 4-5 साल का timeline लेके चलना पड़े. So there is money to be made then if you are taking it from that perspective. If I were to give you more specifics, if you have 1 million followers on Instagram, you're doing about 400-500k views on average. If you're doing English speaking content, you can make anywhere between 3 to 7-8 lakh rupees per reel. Per reel. Now, how often will you get that work? Also depends on the market, on how replaceable, irreplaceable you are, on your style of content, on your language of content, etc. So in say if that's the math you do, if you do like 3-4 paid reels in a month, you could make like anywhere between 10 to 25 lakh rupees a month. So that might seem like it's a huge number, it's crazy. But then the thing is, there is also like 3-4 months where you probably will not make any money or very little money.
November mein I made zero money.
Yeah, so it's very sporadic. It's not consistent. It's not like a salary, right? But it's also not like a decent, stable business. Because in a business, if you've scaled it to a certain level, you will not be uncertain about the money. Because you will always have certain vendors and clients that are working with you for a long period of time. Retainer पे काम चल रहा है, relationship पे काम चल रहा है, etc. etc. यहाँ पे तुम जब brand के साथ काम कर रहे हो, more often than not, and most creators are not able to crack retainers. So they will not have stable income over a period of time. They will be working on one-off contract projects. So think of yourself as a freelancer only, effectively. Your goal then needs to be to become a freelancer who has brand value. Which then means that you're not just any freelancer now. You are a top-notch freelancer who people know by name. They're not searching for you by genre. They're searching for you by your name. And that's when truly the money will start flowing in.
Right. What is a great example of an influencer marketing campaign that you've recently seen? कि ये जैसे आपने बताया Gillette का with a shaving video जो करी थी रणवीर ने. What is a good example like that?
I mean, I definitely want to plug in the campaign we did with Lay's recently, where so one of our creators, Zarwan Bansha, he usually makes English-speaking content, appeals to a lot of Parsis. He's a Parsi himself. So he made a video saying that he hated the new Lay's magic masala flavor because they made it sweet or something like that. So he made a rant video on it. It went viral. It did some 4-5 million views. And, then other brands, competitor brands came in, like Bingo and all of that. They took the opportunity to capitalize and cash in on this. And they did a great job at it. They made a whole reel saying that, Bansha, we will give you a whole truckload of Bingo mad angles. Use our product, consume our product, etc. And even their reels have got some 2-3 million views each. And then we thought of this that, hey, like he does not hate Lay's. He's just passionate about the product. And that's why he's annoyed and disappointed with the change in the flavor. So he still loves Lay's and he's an active consumer of it. So I reached out to the PepsiCo team and I was like, hey, this is a video that one of our creators has made. Would you want to do something about it? Can we work together, etc.? And to my surprise, they were very open to doing something because PepsiCo is a huge brand. Yeah. They're very huge corporations are usually not known to accommodate or think quick on their feet, or they're like, हाँ हमारे processes है, legal है, hierarchy है, 10 लोगों को involve करना पड़ेगा. But as soon as I got in touch with the PepsiCo team, they moved things really quickly, and it helped that I knew the right people in the ecosystem also, thankfully, because of a few past projects that we'd worked on. And things moved really quickly. I spoke to my team. We were all aligned. I was like, hey, you know what? We should do XYZ things with Lay's. And I immediately thought of an idea. Hey, this, at the end of it, there should be a bunch of Lay's packets with Zarwan's photo on it. And he should just be sitting like a boss there. And the focus should be on him crunching the wafer or the chip. And it should be like an ASMR video and things like that. So I was really proud of that because I usually don't do creative at all. I have a creative team for that. But I thought of the creative. I got people activated on this. The team was super fast to move as well. Zarwan's manager, Mitanshu, he handled all of the conversations with the brand. The thing is that when you have to change the flavor, and by the way, we got the flavor changed. So these guys, they also figured that this flavor was not getting a lot of love. And this was a good opportunity for them to change the flavor and work with Zarwan to announce the fact that the old flavor is back. And that's how the whole campaign got beautifully executed. The only key change was that when you have to start a new flavor, it takes a lot of time in your supply chain. So we're like, yaar, the steam will get lost in this. So we need to do one more video in between where Zarwan goes to the factory of PepsiCo and tells his viewers that don't worry guys, I have got you. I am ensuring and supervising that the change happens actually and that the old flavor is brought back. So we did 2 videos with them and that really picked up, and that was a fantastic case study on how one rant video, and Zarwan is not even a big creator. He's got like 100,000 followers or something like that. 1 lakh followers. So it's just like that, changing behavior of a big corporation can happen through a reel. And another example I want to take here is the Bonvita situation that happened with Food Farmer. That guy is relentless. He is he's a beast. Like
डर नहीं लगता बिल्कुल.
Yeah, I've met him, and that guy does not fear anything, and he truly wants to create impact. So when his video went really viral, and then there was some action taken by the center also that hey, yeah, there's actually sugar content that's too much in your product. Bonvita actually reduced sugar content in their product by 15%. That, I mean, if that is not the peak of creator economy and the peak of influence, the right kinds, I don't know what is. Like, so big shout out to him for doing this. It's crazy to me how these things are working now. Creators are actually able to directly influence big policies, big decisions, and as some people say that we're not too far away from having a YouTuber MP, a YouTuber ticket to a big party or whatever. It has, as much as I know, there are offers that have been floated already to many people. Some people are not thinking of it at all. Some people are on the edge about it. So I don't think we're too far away from having the first YouTuber politician very soon.
2024.
Yeah, hopefully.
Great. How should someone get brand deals? Like if you were to give like a simple step-by-step process for that. I did my first campaign with Notion and I had been using Notion for 3 years. I had less than 50,000 followers at that point on YouTube. And I was like, I'm anyways going to make a video showing my Notion board to people. Why not just reach out to Notion? तो मैंने LinkedIn पे जाकर के search किया. There was some marketing manager. उनका फिर email combination बना के देखा. उनको फिर email कर दिया. And they reached out to me saying that 50,000 से कम followers से हम काम नहीं करते. I was like, okay, let me work on that थोड़ा सा. फिर उसके बाद 2 महीने बाद we got past that number. Then I again reached out to them. And then I finally got to work with Notion. That was a brilliant experience for me.
Yeah, but that's smart. Yeah. That's the way to do it. Yeah. Honestly, that's how I cracked brand deals initially as well. It's literally that simple. That you are a creator, there is access. You can email a lot of these folks directly. So if you're cracking your first brand deal, do it yourself. Learn how to crack a sale. It's not that difficult. It's not rocket science. I do understand that some people are just skeptical about कि यार ये sales वेल्स मुझसे नहीं होता है, मुझे तो बस content बनाना है, etc. But try it. I mean, if you add that skill set to your game, it will only help you. And it's that easy. It's like there is one person who will be in charge of doing this, right? Of approving this decision of giving you money to promote their app. Can you find that person or stakeholder? Through LinkedIn, it's very easy to do that. Reach out to them, write a convincing cold email, and there is a good chance you will not get a reply, but there is also an equally good chance that you will get a reply and you will crack the deal. And that will be a story to tell in the future, like you just did right now. So that's how you crack your first brand deal or your first, integration or video or whatever. Now the brands have become quite active themselves. They will only reach out to creators that are getting viral, that are doing an average amount of good consistent views. So creators now are spoiled for choice in many ways. So they don't do a lot of cold reach outs and all of that. But that's a solid way of reaching out to a brand.
Yeah. What should someone not do when they are working with brands? Like how to not be a sellout?
I think you'll know it as a creator if you're being a sellout. It's very intrinsic. The moment you feel like यार ये brand मुझे 15 लाइन बोलने के लिए बोल रहा है, जबकि मेरे पूरे वीडियो में 20 ही लाइन है, तो मतलब ब्रांड का क्यों वेटेज आ रहा है वीडियो में? फिर तो मैं ऐड बना रहा हूँ ना उनके लिए. फिर मैं कंटेंट पीस नहीं बना रहा हूँ, फिर वो इंटीग्रेशन नहीं है, फिर वो डेडिकेटेड वीडियो है और मुझे नहीं करनी है वो. सो द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग लाइक क्या यार पैसे के लिए पूरा ईमान बेच रहा हूँ क्या मैं, यू विल गेट दैट फीलिंग like I don't want to sell my soul. And then you'll negotiate with the brand that hey, you know what, this is not working for me. This is just as much I can do for you. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's okay. You can take your money and leave. I will wait a little longer for brands to come and work on my terms.
ऐसे नहीं करते बट बहुत लोग
यार क्योंकि नीड है ना, बहुत लोगों को वो शायद प्रिविलेज नहीं है कि वो कर सके. So they end up taking up that work. Right. But then you have to build yourself to a point where you can say no to brands. And there is power in saying no. So the moment you say no, they will either leave or they will accept your terms. And the moment they start accepting your terms, that will become incentive for you and give you confidence that यार हाँ ये मैं कर सकता हूँ, ये मैं डिमांड रख सकता हूँ ब्रांड के सामने क्योंकि मैं ये वैल्यू ऐड करता हूँ. This is what I bring to the table.
What's laughable to me is seeing those girls who show their skin on Instagram, then start talking about those rummy and fantasy gaming apps. And I'm just like, ye kya ho gaya ekdam se? But see, that is the first time that they're speaking in the video.
But the thing is, I'll tell you, this is something that has historically happened. To promote brands like these, those brands have always wanted some amount of glamour or some amount of sex appeal.
Right.
So for them, it is a natural fit to go to accounts like these because the thing is, and the unfortunate part about this is, most of these accounts that are showing a lot of skin, if it's women, their majority audience is going to be men only. So even the beauty brands don't usually want to work with them because they're thinking, यार इनके account पे तो लड़के ही है सिर्फ, तो वो तो beauty product खरीदने नहीं वाले, तो उनके साथ काम करके क्या फ़ायदा है. सो देन देयर इज़ अ वेरी स्मॉल सेक्शन ऑफ ब्रांड्स दैट यू आर लेफ्ट आउट टू. एंड देन द थिंग इज दैट यू ऑलरेडी हैव रीच, सो इन योर माइंड एज अ क्रिएटर यू आर थिंकिंग यार आई माइट एज वेल मोनेटाइज इट. फिर अब वो लोटस 365 करना हो या कोई रमी करना हो या कोई भी ब्रांड करनी हो, then it's about that, okay, it's okay, I'm getting paid something. And then that puts them in a backseat with the brand because the brand knows that they don't have a flurry of brands coming to them anyway. So we can really negotiate hard with them. And that's what most of these like betting apps do.
But ऐसे में तो और ऐसा कट जाता है ना. How to...
it's not sustainable. Right. It's not sustainable, which is why just posting static content or content without video and audio is going to be really difficult to scale. Like you build your personality by talking to people. You're not going to be able to do that otherwise.
Yeah.
So you have to ensure that there is conversation, there is quality content that is happening. Of course, mermaid scales here is a very different example and exception.
She was the first to get on the reels.
Now comment side में I don't want people like, oh mermaid scales ने तो कर दिया scale यार, तू क्या बात कर रहा है? Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. She's done a fantastic job. She's realized that, hey, you know, instead of speaking, I could still, you know, do my own content. And she's put far more effort in her storytelling, in her aesthetic, in her, you know, setup and background and all of that. So if you take out effort from somewhere, you have to put extra effort in something else. It's just how life will work and content will also work.
Abhi recently we are seeing the rise of a lot of creator-led brands that people are trying to start. But वो कई बार in most cases in India में successful नहीं होती हैं. Why do you think that
it's very difficult to scale a creator?
Is it a good thing in the future to focus on?
Very difficult to lead a creator-led brand. There need to be too many things right for a creator-led brand to work. I do still feel there is a higher chance for a creator-led brand to work as opposed to a celebrity-led brand. Because creators, especially if they have a strong niche, those brands can work. But the thing is, there is something you need beyond that. You need someone who is running that business day in, day out. To have that expectation out of a creator is unreasonable. The creator is focused on creating content. They're not going to get involved in the business. They're not going to get involved in the manufacturing, order completion, all of those processes. And you also need to have the person who's going to be the operator of the business has to have enough motivation to make the business work. Which means they need to have enough skin in the game. They need to have enough know-how to ensure how to scale this. Because scaling a consumer business is no fucking joke in India. It takes all of your effort. It takes day in, day out. You have to eat, sleep, drink shit that brand and product if you have to really scale it. If you are doing it in a haphazard manner, or if you don't have enough incentive to do it, it will fizzle out. So I feel like there is room for a few very big consumer brands run by creators. Let's see which brands are those. Hopefully we'll get to see some.
Easily I started my B2B business, which was Market Up, because I knew that I'm not sure how long will I be able to make money with content.
Right.
So I was like, I need to use this traction, this case study, and then build Market Up along with that.
Correct.
What's your ending thoughts for people who are still watching this video? Abhi end tak dekh rahe hain.
Why are you still watching? Just do something better. Why are you watching this podcast? I mean, if you're still watching this and if you want to be a creator, just start. 2024 is a great year. The market is not saturated. You can always come up with a stronger idea, fill a gap, be more funny, be more creative, and people will watch you. So focus on those things.
Amazing. That was the entire content creator playbook, framework. I hope you all took notes and jaake ab enjoy karo. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Viraj, for taking out the time.
Thank you, Ishan.